This is Shark Tank. If you've watched the program, you know that all kinds of ideas show up there, from packages with 3 socks for when you lose a pair, to manly scented candles with fragrances of beer, barbecue, golf courses, and other much less pleasant things. But the fact is that the show offers an excellent opportunity for any entrepreneur, even if they don't receive an investment. Just participating in the reality show is enough to bring a series of benefits that many companies spend years trying to achieve. A chance to promote their products and make their brands known to millions of people, and the proof of this is that many companies that were rejected on the show ended up becoming a huge success afterward. But it seems that the old saying "there's no such thing as bad publicity" does not apply to the so-called Shark Tank effect. This is because while some companies have had great successes without receiving an investment, others have seen their complete ruin. But why? Shark Tank is a reality show with 15 seasons that originated in the United States in 2009. The idea is simple. Entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to a group of investors in the hope of securing financial investment to boost their businesses. The investors are called sharks, hence the name of the show, and they are a group of successful magnates in the investment world, like businessman Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks. According to ABC, owner of the American Shark Tank, over its seasons, the show accumulates $8 billion in retail sales from businesses that close deals on the reality show. Besides the investment itself, entrepreneurs who manage to convince the sharks to get involved in the business benefit from the vast experience and the network of contacts of investors who now have a direct connection with the business. The thing is that there's another huge benefit of participating in Shark Tank, and the most curious thing is that the participant does not even need to convince one of the sharks to take advantage of it. The so-called Shark Tank effect. The Shark Tank effect is the increase in sales, customers, and brand searches caused by the mere fact of a company having participated in Shark Tank. This is because even for companies that didn't close any deals on the show, the mere participation already guarantees a national broadcast appearance, giving a chance to promote their venture and sparking people's curiosity. In fact, many consider that the publicity of national exposure obtained during the show is precisely the greatest benefit a company can get by participating in Shark Tank, even more than the investments. Moreover, participants often have stories of overcoming and perseverance in their journey to achieve their dreams, and on Shark Tank they have the opportunity to tell these stories and present their products from an angle that traditional advertising does not allow. This helps to create a bond between the business and the viewers who may feel inspired or touched. Of course, not just any company gets the chance to participate in Shark Tank. As the popularity of the show increased, so did the competition to be selected, and the necessary screening stages. Entrepreneurs have to find among tens of thousands of other companies to get to Shark Tank and have a chance to make their pitch. But there are many real cases that show that all this effort is probably worth it, even if it's just to appear on TV and ride the Shark Tank effect. Because without a doubt, this can make all the difference between success and failure. Forbes found that nearly 75% of the deals made in the first 7 seasons of the American Shark Tank were altered or cancelled in the following years. This suggests that many of these ventures may no longer have been attractive to the sharks, perhaps due to not meeting the expected performance. This is assuming the deal was actually finalized, as the magazine also found that half of the offers made on camera don't conclude once the cameras are off, or that many entrepreneurs here accept our offer or your episode won't air. Yet, the Shark Tank effect can be a significant advantage for those who leave the program disappointed. To prove this, look no further than real-life cases of companies that went through Shark Tank and survived. Take Nopalera, a cosmetics brand made from the Mexican nopal cactus, which appeared on the show but didn't secure an investment. Entrepreneur Sandra Velasquez received some offers from the sharks but felt they were not satisfactory and left without a deal. However, that was enough to catch the public's attention, and 11 days after appearing on Shark Tank, Nopalera received over 6,000 orders, generating $300,000 in sales, the amount the sharks had offered for 30% of the company. Additionally, just 2 months later, the company managed to raise $2.7 million in investment. Another ignored idea was Rocketbook. Founders Jake Epstein and Joe LeMay presented their product to the sharks in an episode, but none of them were impressed except the audience. Rocketbook is a reusable smart notebook that allows notes to be sent to the cloud, making everything accessible via smartphones and other gadgets. To reuse the notebook, simply microwave it to erase all its contents. After being turned down by the sharks on national TV, Rocketbook began to succeed, securing $1.2 million in crowdfunding as its first commercial model became an Amazon bestseller. Its second model, which uses water to erase notes, raised over $4 million in crowdfunding campaigns. The success was so significant that by the end of 2020, Big had acquired Rocketbook for $40 million. Perhaps the most spectacular Shark Tank rejection was the smart lock giant, Ring. This was likely one of the show's biggest oversights, as in 2013, Doorbot CEO pitched a smart doorbell that provided video of whoever was outside your home, enhancing home security. None of the sharks showed interest except Kevin O'Leary, who made an offer so inadequate it was declined. 5 years later, Doorbot was rebranded as Ring and was acquired by Amazon for an astonishing $1 billion. CEO Jamie Siminoff admitted that Doorbot was practically bankrupt when it appeared on Shark Tank, but even without securing a deal, he said the appearance was the most significant event for his company. Siminoff estimated that the Shark Tank appearance led to an additional $5 million in sales. Even before the Amazon purchase, Ring had already attracted investment from celebrities like Richard Branson and Shaquille O'Neal. The Shark Tank effect is so powerful that participants have taken notice. In an interview with Forbes, Mark Cuban mentioned that in recent seasons, there's been an increase in entrepreneurs interested solely in the publicity generated by the show. Shark Tank is incredibly successful in the US, averaging 4 million viewers per episode, with content also streamed on different platforms and YouTube. Bubble Mix Tea was also one of the companies that felt the Shark Tank effect, a tea-based beverage brand that appeared on the Brazilian version of the show in 2017. During the pitch, businessman João Apolinário offered a deal for 25% of the company, which was accepted. Their goal was to expand their store count through a franchise system. Today, they are the largest bubble tea network in Brazil with over 100 stores nationwide. The Brazilian company 2FW from Joinville presented its smoke system idea on Shark Tank Brazil in 2020, designed to block an intruder's vision in establishments and homes. On camera, it was João Apolinário who offered a proposal, which was accepted by the participants. However, the deal didn't progress much over time, but the founders of 2FW didn't wait around. In the meantime, they grew by 150% by leveraging the show's exposure to close sales and international deals. As Roberto Freitas, co-founder of 2FW, recounted in an interview with O Município newspaper, some very strange things happened. I was stopped on the street, people asked me if I was the guy from Shark Tank. That made us sell all over Brazil to companies we didn't have access to, like in very remote and small cities of Brazil. Often, companies participating in Shark Tank report that they sell in a few days what would normally be equivalent to months, and almost all claim it's worth participating in the reality show even when there's no investment from the sharks. But of course, not everything is a bed of roses, and the Shark Tank effect is not always able to save some ventures. There are cases where even the national exposure and the investment from sharks cannot guarantee the future of participating company. During the third season of Shark Tank, one of the pitches that secured a deal was Show No Towels, which manufactured wearable towels in poncho format. Laurie Grenier decided to invest in the company, but from the beginning the relationship between the investor and the brand's founder was troubled. Show No Towels even managed to close deals with Disney, but the company's sales weren't as good as expected, and the agreements were cancelled. In the end, the company went bankrupt amidst disputes between the founder and the Shark Tank investor. Another example was BodyJack, an exercise device that seems to have come directly from As Seen on TV, presented in the first season of Shark Tank. Sharks Kevin Harrington and Barbara Corcoran paid $180,000 for 50% of the business, but once again the product did not succeed and the company couldn't stay afloat. But this is related to the fact that even participating in the reality show, all these companies need to face the challenges of running a business, and there are numerous variables that make some of them not fit into the market. The good news is that nowadays it's not strictly necessary to go through Shark Tank to achieve a similar effect, and this has everything to do with the reason behind the Shark Tank effect: publicity. Publicity is nothing new. In fact, it has been around for at least 370 years. It's precisely publicity that makes the Shark Tank effect happen. On the show, those with innovative or creative ideas have the chance to give visibility to their brand, ensuring that, at the very least, people have heard of the company. Moreover, with a well-executed pitch and using techniques like storytelling, it's possible to spark people's curiosity, make them feel connected to the brand, and sometimes even root for the business. But there's another thing, not as old, that's also closely linked to publicity and that can generate an effect similar to the Shark Tank effect: social media. It's well known that with much easier access to devices like smartphones and computers, the number of people using some form of social media only increases every day. This means that they are the perfect place for those who want to put their brand in front of everyone. That is, to publicize their businesses, especially if this is done by leveraging current topics and hypes. This is exactly what viral marketing proposes. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram, if used correctly, can be a significant asset in making a brand known. They have become a catalyst for small businesses, a kind of digital Shark Tank in terms of visibility. Kyle Hins, creator of Noble Leather, knew exactly how to do this. In 2018, he created a brand of leather goods such as belts and wallets, and decided to start posting videos of the manufacturing process on TikTok. He took advantage of the high demand for ASMR and satisfying content, and built his videos around that. The initiative was very successful, and each of his videos usually reaches more than 1 million views, which naturally increases the demand for his products, attracts new customers, and makes his brand increasingly well-known and valuable. In a study, the e-commerce platform Shopify found that nearly 70% of its users were influenced by TikTok when making online purchases. Considering that TikTok has an active user base of 1 billion people, this gives a dimension of the advertising power that this platform provides, all accessible without the need to go through the screenings of Shark Tank. It's no wonder that social media have even led to a kind of evolution of viral marketing, but at the same time is creating a whole new problem. The world of social media is a big Shark Tank. Of course, the number of participants is also much larger, but it's a valid comparison. While in Shark Tank, the selection of who will or will not get a spot on television is done through numerous screenings and evaluations, on social media, it's determined by who is the topic of the moment. If your brand can leverage the hype, you'll achieve an effect very similar to the Shark Tank effect. This is precisely what the concept of fast advertising works on, a new marketing approach that swaps traditional strategies for real-time dynamics, leveraging viral topics, elements of pop culture, and direct communication to connect with a modern audience. At this point, the use of social media is crucial, as it's the most direct way to see what's trending and launch content that engages the audience. Now, leave a comment on what you think about the Shark Tank effect, and also what you think about this video that you just watched. The fact that there are so many people on social media today creates a whole new problem, which is called over-tourism. It's a concept that affects touristic cities, and in this dynamic, local residents, the environment, and even the tourists themselves are greatly harmed by the number of people gathered in the same place just to take some pictures to post on social media. To find out exactly how this problem is affecting tourism all around the world, click on this video that's on screen right now, and I'll see you there in a few seconds.